Hello, I'm Victoria. Welcome to my channel. So it's been a long time. I had promised you guys that I was gonna do a reading journal and like show it to you and everything, and that's not happening. I did do it. So I did my reading journal, made the video, and it was just a whole mess. Like first, it took me a little while to like actually get around to do it because it's kind of a big project and I was a little bit intimidated and also hadn't done it before. And then I finally like sat down and like dedicated like the time to do it, and I realized that when people do these reading journals, they have to like have some type of setup that has the camera like over their desk or whatever they're working on, so that way they're still able to work and stuff. And I did not have that, so I didn't want to just put it off. So what I did was I had my tripod like in front of me with the camera facing down, and I was like working around it, and that worked all right. I did the video and then like I edited it and stuff, and I just well, for one, I did not do as many spreads as a lot of people do, and also I am like, I don't know, I really like how spreadsheets and stuff look, like just the structure of them, and so I felt like my setups, a lot of them, not all, were a lot plainer than I felt like people would be interested in, and I just became really self-conscious about the whole thing. And so I decided not to post it, but then I felt bad because I had promised you guys, and so it just kind of turned into this spiral of me not posting anything on here. And also I went through like this whole chain progression of hobbies. I became really interested in fountain pens, which led to me getting into like journaling and also pen paling. I started like writing to pen pals, and then that reignited my inspiration to like start writing again. And I discovered Royal Road, the website that is super popular for lit RPGs, was having their own like writing contest, kind of like NaNoWriMo. It's called Write-a-thon. And so I decided to give that a shot, and I started writing a lit RPG that I am really excited about. It's been a little bit since I've posted a new chapter because I'm me, but I still plan to go back to that. But yeah, I felt bad that it's been so long since I've done a video. So since you're not getting the reading journal video, I figured today what we could do is, I have not really talked about any of the books that I've DNF'd this year. So I thought I would go through my, I almost said Libby, no, Storygraph account, and not necessarily every book that I DNF'd. I think I have a little over 40 books that I've DNF'd this year, but just ones that stick out to me that I know I have like a clear reason that I can give besides just meh, like not feeling it, you know? So that's what we're gonna do today. Hopefully that's interesting to you. So I scrolled down to the beginning of this year for my DNFs, and we'll just kind of go through and I'll let you know any major ones, I guess. The first one that I see is The Brightness Between Us by Elliot Schreffer. That's the sequel to The Darkness Outside Us that I actually read for Battle of the Book Tours in my last round. I did not really care for this one. It has two different plot lines that we're following with like different people and stuff, and one of them I was a little bit more interested in, but I wasn't like extremely, and then the other one I was not interested in at all. I just found it very boring, and so I DNF'd that, and I owned the first book. I think I'm gonna keep it. I did enjoy that, but as I read more sci-fi and stuff, I just am not sure. I'm gonna keep it for now, but there's a possibility that as I read more, maybe it just won't hold up the same for me. It was still like really cool, certain aspects of it, so I don't know. We'll just see how that goes. And then we have The Golem's Eye by Jonathan Stroud. This is book 2 in the Bartimaeus trilogy. I love this author's writing style and the world building of this series and the magic, and even the characters themselves I find are really interesting and like not thought out, what am I thinking of? Fleshed out. Like you really get to know them. But the main guy and his genie, was that the right word? I don't know. The two main characters, the one that's human, I feel like he just is such a little shithead. Like he's so smart, but he is not a good person, and that's fine. I don't need all my main characters to be good people, but if I really enjoy certain characters and stuff, seeing like them be treated bad and stuff makes it hard for me to like the other characters and stuff. And so since he is like the main character of the series, or like one of two of the main characters, you know, it's just became a little too much for me to like want to shake him every time I'm in his head, you know. Next we have 8 by Samer Rabadi. This is a lit RPG that follows this boy, and it's very like survival based. It's been a long time. From what I can remember, I think it was just going a little too slow for me, which is funny because the story I'm writing is a very slow-paced progression. I feel like there just wasn't enough happening. Then we have Persuasion by Jane Austen. This one was just like a lot slower, and it didn't have like it's not like a comedic type story, and so the slow feeling with that just made it feel a little bit duller than like Pride and Prejudice and Northanger Abbey and the ones, you know, that I've read that I've enjoyed. So I don't know, I might pick this one up again at a later point, but I was not feeling it when I read it the first time. Then we have Midlife Fairy Hunter by Shannon Mayer. This is an urban fantasy series, and the main character's like in her 40s, and I liked the main character and the writing style was fine. I just realized in this second book that it was kind of a little too episodic for me. Like I could see how the first one had its own storyline, the second one had another one and everything, and I was like, that's not the kind of stories that I like for my urban fantasies. I really like it to be a interconnected, prolonged plot line throughout the series and stuff. So it was nothing wrong with that book. It just didn't fit for me. I see quite a few lit RPG books or game lit. There's a deck builder one, but honestly, I don't really remember the specific reasons why I ended up DNFing those. I think that like something wasn't vibing with me, you know. I don't always have like this specific thing was like the flaw in it, you know. Then we have Nightshade by Andrea Kremer. I had gotten this used at a local independent bookstore, and wanted to give it a shot because I was in my whole like trying to find urban fantasy, paranormal romance, you know, stuff that I liked. And so I picked this up, but I think it was a little bit too much like old school 2000s YA paranormal romance type vibes, and so the writing style just was not working for me. That's not really something that I typically enjoy. I don't know. Then we have King of Sword and Sky by C.L. Wilson. This is the third book in the Terran Soul series. This one makes me sad because I read the first 2 books in this series and I thought I was really enjoying it. I saw like how the author was clearly like good at writing, and I liked the world building and stuff, but it has this like, I don't know, I listened to the audiobooks and I don't know if it's because the narrator sounded like older or if it was the actual writing style or a mix of the two, because it is an older series, but it has this older sounding writing style that moves at like a slower pace, and it's also like third person, which I feel like you don't see very much in romantasy nowadays. A lot of the times you're like in their heads and stuff, and the more I listened to this series, the more disconnected I was feeling, and I felt like it should have been the opposite. Like the more time you spend with a character or with a world, you know, the closer you should feel. And so when I got to the third book and I was realizing like there was still this distance between me and the characters and stuff, and it wasn't closing, I decided like I was gonna DNF the series, and that does make me sad because I had a lot of hope for it. I'm listening to another book by C.L. Wilson, and I think I'm having a little bit of a better time with it, but she just has a very distinct writing style, and it takes me a little bit of time to adjust to it, but we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty sure it's called The Winter King. And that distance that I felt with that one is the same reason I think that I ended up also DNFing Moonheart by Charles DeLint. This was another one that made me really sad because Charles DeLint is one of those authors that I hear about as being like a classic namesake for the fantasy genre, you know? And also they write a lot of like fairy tale vibe things, and so I was really hopeful, but going into this book I just was not really able to connect anything. And I also felt like maybe it's because of that slight fairy tale inspiration feeling, but I also felt like characters were very one-dimensional a little bit. Like this is their role, you know, like they're this caricature. What's the word I'm thinking of? That might be it. Yeah. Rivers of London is the next one by Ben Aronovich. And this is one that I had heard was like a really well-loved urban fantasy series. And I kind of had a hunch that this one might not work for me just because he's like a detective or police, something like that. I liked the writing in this one. Maybe if I haven't looked into Ben Aronovich, his backlog, like other stuff that he's written, so I might pick up something else by this author if he has more. But yeah, that character type just really does not work for me, and also like the setup it does for stories, like just detectives, private investigators, they're just not my thing at all. Then we have Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. I was really excited about this one because I heard it was like horror and romance and fantasy, you know, you put it all together and everything. But when I don't think I got very far into this series, or into this book I mean, when I decided to DNF it, because I realized that the main character monster chick thing, I felt like she was almost too humanized. I was wanting like monster. And so like when she was talking about like how she goes after like the bad people and stuff, I was like, no, I just want you to be like killing people, you know? Like I don't know, it just felt like trying to take something scary and like tone it down to where it's like you can romanticize them and like want to be with it. But like I think it would have been way cooler if it was just like, no, like they're like actually kind of terrifying, and like, you know, you should be afraid of them and stuff. So that setup just wasn't like appealing to me. So when I realized that was the direction of that character, I was like, yeah, never mind. Then we have Midnight Crossroad by Charlene Harris, the first book of Midnight Texas. This one I picked up because I had a feeling it was going to remind me of the Written in Red, the Others series by Anne Bishop. And I will say that I was right in the aspect of like, you really kind of get this like day-to-day, small town, supernatural vibe. And I really like that. It's just, I could be wrong. So if you've read this book and you like it and I'm wrong about this, let me know. But it felt like it was going in that mystery of the week direction. And I also felt like one of the differences between this series and the others is I felt like there was more character connection in the others. Like we're learning a little bit. I didn't get very far. I don't remember how far, but we were learning some about the characters, but it was more like head hopping. And so getting to know them that way rather than seeing relationships build. But I don't know, just let me know if I should give that one another shot. I'm on the fence. Hello, Editing Victoria here. For some reason, the last chunk of my video just kind of disappeared, so we're gonna finish it now. So I only had like 2 books left to talk about, so I guess that kind of worked out. So we were on A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch by Sarah Hawley. This one, the main thing for me is I kind of realized that there is a difference in vibe and writing style and like the type of romance, I guess, between paranormal romance and like a contemporary romance with like a paranormal or fantasy setting or just world, you know, like even if they're not human or whatever. And I feel like in this case we are dealing with the latter. This definitely had the feeling to me of a contemporary romance that just happened to have fantasy elements and species and stuff. And every once in a while I can do a contemporary romance, but they're typically like really not for me. And normally when I say that, I feel like it's because I think that they feel too, like a contemporary romance typically feels too like normal to me. Like there's not that escapism element, and so it gets kind of boring to me. So with this being a fantasy world and like one of the main characters is a demon and stuff, I would think that there wouldn't be that issue, but it has such a distinct contemporary romance feeling that it does still have the issue. So I guess maybe I didn't understand what the problem was for me before. I don't know. It was a weird thing to realize, but yeah, so it felt like I was just reading a contemporary romance rather than a paranormal romance, and it just wasn't working. But then we have Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, and this one I did not get very far into because we're following both POVs in this romance, and I found the guy just super annoying. Like, I don't know actually what it was, but like when he talked or thought or anything, I just didn't like him. I didn't think he was like a bad guy. I mean, like he's a serial killer, so. But I didn't have like a specific thing. He just kind of gave me the ick, I guess. And so I feel like with a romance, if any of the main characters, if any of the characters in a romance bother you that way, I just feel like it's not the right romance for you. But yeah, so that's really all the ones that I have to talk about today. If any of the DNFs that I have mentioned, you're like, no, you really do need to give that another shot, like you haven't had the time to appreciate it or miss something or whatever, feel free to let me know. Maybe I'll try it out again. And then also let me know if you've had any interesting DNFs so far this year. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!